Yoga sucks. Punchalates is the new trend.
Oh, Rama.
Hey, Thomas, how are you?
Good to see you. How's everything?
Good, good, good. Good air guitaring, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on Chosen Family arriving in theaters and on demand October 11. That's right. What's it
Mhm.
like being directed by and acting alongside Heather? Is it a different dynamic when the person you have to react to is also the person who's the boss on the set?
I wouldn't have come back and done a second Heather Graham movie if I didn't really love her as a director. Like she's very easy to work with. Like it's just like that's what it's a very nice. I always really enjoy working with uh directors who are actors because often they don't really like need to direct you that much. Often it's about um but when Heather does tell me something, I definitely take it very seriously, because I'm like, it's nice because she's on the inside of it too, and she's also she can, so uh, she has a very casual style of directing. It's like you can tell the scenes are like really sort of feel very fun and natural, and um, it looks like this is like a big giant movie, but like made for very like with this looks like a huge rom-com, but that's basically this is like indie movies that she's making that end up looking like big giant studio rom-coms, which is a pretty big feat, to be honest. And I don't know if you saw Heather's last picture, which was called Half Magic,
Hmm.
but also just like really great. She has a real knack for like these sort of fun rom-coms where there always seem to be about a sort of a Heather Graham type who seems to make terrible decisions mostly. I'm not
But
sure how much of that is of that overlaps with the actual Heather, but I think from maybe a fair amount, at least in the past, probably. Yeah.
but to that point, you yourself have done some directing in the past. I remember Hell Baby, very much enjoyed it. So,
Thank you
it,
so much.
yeah, did you at any point during the filming of Chosen Family give Heather some pointers or pro tips?
Never, literally never. Um, Heather directs. It's interesting. Heather directs mostly. She's the closest director. I've been in like a Clint Eastwood movie now. You know. Oh, no. Here's who Heather directs quite a bit like. Heather directs a little bit like James Ivory.
Hmm.
I'm also in. I'm in two Heather Graham movies. I'm also in two Merchant Ivory movies. Isn't that weird? What is up with me? Why do I turn up on all those weird things? Um, but I would say Heather directs a little bit like James Ivory, and I do mean that as in the best way, which is like
No,
you really don't hear that much until you've messed up something terribly, until you
right.
really, really blew it and were a disappointment. You don't hear that much, which is the way it should be.
Now, Thomas, people recognize you most for Reno 911 and, of course, Night of the Museum movies, which to this day I'm still a huge fan of that franchise. Your character in Chosen Family, Max, however, is much more, how do I call it, subdued. He's still
Hmm.
funny, but he's not physically animated like Jim Dangle, or your version of the Wright brothers. So when you take on
Yeah,
a role like Max, when there's no expectation to be physically comical per se, does that feel like a nice change of pace?
yeah, I suppose it does. I mean, I guess in some ways what you're saying is, and I think you're not wrong that, I don't have a handle on. I'm not always asked to play normal people, you know. I don't. I'm not often. There's something about me. If you bring me into something, you definitely meant for it to be just a little bit off, a little. Um, But that's the kind of fun of being in movies like this to me is like playing a somewhat not a straight character, but sort of sort of a real person, like a less cartoony person, because I'm often playing, fairly over the top type things. Although I'll be honest, even when I'm playing Dangle, I'm trying to, in my mind, it's not as in my mind, Dangle thinks he's like Steve McQueen. It's never. He doesn't think of himself as a cartoonish person. He thinks of himself as a genuine badass. Yeah.
I like how Max and his wife are opening up a restaurant. I thought that was cool. So here's a fun, the bear type of question for you, Thomas.
Sure.
If you were to own a restaurant, what kind of restaurant would you run, and what kind of meals would you serve on your menu?
Grilled cheese sandwiches, every kind of grilled cheese. No, not every kind of grilled cheese, just one kind of grilled cheese.
This one guy.
Just a real cheap ass Midwestern, grilled cheese, which is regular Wonder Bread, 2 slices of Velveeta, margarine. That's it. And you can either get 1 or you can get 4. And those are the only options.
And you have the rollerblade waitress?
What's that?
You'd have the rollerblade waitresses, like the.
I think we're gonna get little robots. Maybe we'll have like a little cart that comes around. You ever been to a sushi place where they put things on a little boat that comes by you?
Yes.
We're gonna do something like this. We'll have a little choo-choo train and it brings you a grilled cheese and it's called Lieutenant Dangle's Choo-Choo Train Grilled Cheese Experience. And you have, for some reason, you have to get tickets through Ticketmaster. I'm gonna make the whole thing just as complicated as possible.
I love that.
Yeah,
Now,
you have to resell, you have to rebuy auctioned tickets to get a grilled cheese from Ticketmaster.
I only have a few minutes left with you, Thomas,
Sure.
but I can't let you go without asking you this. Are you guys planning to do another Reno 911 reunion? Maybe another TV movie? Is the band getting back together anytime soon?
I will do it every time it ever comes up. So, and maybe part of that is because it's not that hard to do. For me, the character is once I'm in the shorts, I know what I'm doing all the time. You know, it's nice to have something like that. It's like it gives me a lot of direction. So you know, it's interesting because I think Reno 911, which you know was very popular during its original run, it also sort of stays popular through it. You know, it's launched a lot of memes and a lot of GIFs and a lot of like clips and you know more often than not I'll wake up and forget, like, you know, the clip of like everyone thinks they've won the lottery on Reno 911 will come back through the system once in a while, you know, or New Boot Goofing obviously is in heavy rotation. So it's something we all love doing, I know, and it's also, other than being outside, it's not the hardest job in the world, other than being outside a lot and getting hit with gravel. There's a lot of times on Reno 911 you're just getting, something happens where you either get crushed under somebody else or gravel flies at you. But otherwise, it's a very, very fun job. I'll tell you right now, you see that cello back there?
Yeah.
I'm as good at that cello as I am at rollerblading, and take that for what you will. That is a 1-to-1 equivalency.
Final question. Why didn't you and Robert come back to write Night at the Museum 3? And are there any plans to make Night at the Museum 4?
I can't speak to that. And we actually did write tons of drafts of Night at the Museum 3. So, sorry, there's a little dog running around that I was going to introduce to you. But so we did write tons of drafts of Night at the Museum 3. It ended up not being the one that really got made. But we did write a lot of them. But sometimes on those movies, you'll write like many, many drafts for a year and then not use them at all. You know, those are big, big pictures. We wrote a ton of versions of Night at the Museum 2 that are fully intact scripts of something completely different than whatever got made that we didn't use for the second one. So it's, you know, there's a lot of other Night at the Museum scripts that actually exist.
But no 4 yet. You can't speak that.
That I do not know.
Okay. All right. For my fans at home, everybody go check out Chosen Family, arriving in theaters and on demand October 11. Thomas, thank you for talking to me and congratulations.
Yoga socks. Punch Pilates is the new trend.